We are back with another crowd control, and I promise this is our last one before Gen Con. We're probably going to even take maybe a week break after Gen Con, but this will be the last one you see for a minute, and we've got 4 games to talk about, as always. These ones are all either launching this week or maybe even launching next week by the time you're seeing this. But the first one we want to talk about is Dodos riding Dinos first race. Now, I'll tell you what. When the first one, Dodos riding dinosaurs, or was it just Dodos riding dinos? Hit crowdfunding, I remember them sending us an email, us taking a look at it, and I was like, I don't know about this, but it looked really cute. And then the campaign hit, and I was like, oh, this is a really good-looking campaign. And it did quite well.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun. The game
played it.
I've played it. It was a game that I was very quick to write off because, you know, it's dexterity, you're throwing stuff, it seems silly. But then, the silliness is the fun.
Yeah.
And it really leans into that in a really smart way. And I played it multiple times. It's great.
Yeah, and this one is very, very similar to that, but it is meant to be sort of an introductory experience, maybe for kids, maybe for families, if your family's not already playing Dodos riding dinos. This one kind of simplifies things, but has a lot of the same mechanisms, also in a small little box, so you can get this up and running very quickly. There's a 2-sided board. You've got your cards. You're playing a red or a blue card. Then everyone can kind of interrupt with the green cards. You're all trying to race around this track. I did read the story. I'll spare the story. Check out their campaign if you want. It's an adorable story. They go investigate this meteorite. It's like causing havoc. And then they all randomly just say, hey, let's race back home.
Yeah, like and ride on dinos.
That's the story,
and
they ride on dinos. But that is launching this week.
All right, the one I want to talk about is Ascension Legends. This is a game that's near and dear to my heart because I've loved Ascension all the way from the beginning. But there is a lot of it. There has been a lot of Ascension that has come out over the years, and I think we talked about this in our video on the game. It's been tough to maybe figure out where to jump on. So this is the jumping on point. If you're a fan of Ascension from way back, this introduces a bunch of new stuff, a ton of new cards, and this new board, which is giving you tracks to go up for the 4 different factions. As you buy and defeat cards, you're going up these tracks, getting different bonuses. You're putting different champions up there and triggering their legendary abilities and stuff like that. But for new players, this is kind of a return to the feeling of basic Ascension with that addition. So this is a really, really great jumping on point, not just because of that, but also they're giving you, for the first time, the chance to go all the way back to the beginning of Ascension and buy every single core deck.
But just the decks.
And
the components you need to play them.
Yes, and of course, they're not going to leave you high and dry.
They're not making you buy like some giant box for each one.
Right.
They have them all pre-packaged in these little deck boxes, or at least that's the way it looks like on their campaign page right now. But it's a really cool solution so that if you look into it, or watch our content, we did a playthrough of it. We just put up a preview of it if you want to know more about it. If it sounds like something you'd like, and you've never played it before, take a look at their campaign, and you might want to get some of those extra things because there's a ton of those extra deck boxes.
Exactly. That's why I say this is great for new fans to jump on, and this is great for old fans who just want more Ascension or pick up stuff they missed. I will probably be picking up some of the little decks that I missed along the way too.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't have every full set. No, I don't have every box set.
So the next one we want to talk about isn't happening this week. I believe as of right now, it's launching the following week. Right before Gen Con, in fact, and that is Dungeon Rummy. Why are we covering this, you ask? Because this is not typically the kind of game that hits our table here on MVM, but I'll tell you why. Fel Barros, who used to be at CMON for many, many, many years, has his own studios, Samba Studios, and this is, I believe, their first game, and it is what it says. It is Rummy. It's cooperative Rummy that you're playing to fight monsters in a dungeon, collect treasures, things like that. So there's limited communication. You can't say, hey, I have this. It sounds like you can't talk about what's in your hand.
Right.
But you can say things, but you can say things to the effect of I wouldn't mind if you played a 7 right now. That wouldn't bother me. You just can't say, I could play this about your hand.
Right.
And really cute art. Is it me? Does the art give you Munchkin vibes a little bit?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Now, I don't want to compare it to Munchkin.
No,
it is not
Munchkin. Nothing like it.
Love or hate Munchkin, it's your own decision.
Yeah,
but
and Yeah, Fell, while he was at CMON, designed some of our favorite games.
Well, he did Narcos.
Including Narcos, which is one of my favorite CMON games. So I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, it is interesting to see a new studio launch, and that's why we wanted to cover it. We're also going to have some content up on this. We'll have some content on all of these, except for
the
next
one that I'm about to talk about, I would
Except
love
for
to
that.
do. This is Epos. This is a Gentes game. That was a game that came out, a while ago.
Gentes had to have been like 17, 18.
Yeah, like 2017 or 18. It was a civilization building game. They have taken that foundation and built on it. So first of all, they've done some quality of life adjustments to the game.
Sure.
They're calling this the ultimate civilization game because this should be like the pinnacle of all civ games, which is a genre I love. So I'm very excited to try this out. But they've streamlined some of the game. They've fixed some of the issues. They've given some new rules and some additional attention to some of the problems that people had with Gentes to kind of balance it a little bit better. So yes, in that aspect, it is going to play similarly to Gentes.
Yes, it's got the same DNA, if you will.
But very much expanded. Not to mention just solo play, which is already a huge draw for people. There are a variety of different game modes now. So there's a whole list of scenarios, and you can actually play through these scenarios with the same group of people in like a campaign style kind of mode, or you can just kind of pick and choose the scenarios you want to play. I think there's like 10 different scenarios they have listed on their page.
And it sounds like, well, I think that I heard that they'd mentioned 8, and they are basically 8 different games, effectively.
Really, yeah.
From what I've heard. We haven't dug into the details on each of them, but each of them feel less like scenarios in the traditional sense and more like, okay, this is how we play the game now.
Right, different rules layered onto that
exactly,
foundation.
Changes things up quite a bit.
Yeah, and like they really are. They even call it like the ultimate civilization building game. And of course, like if you've never played Gentes, if you've never played a civilization game at all, these are very much on the heavier side of board games. These are the kind of games that I think people traditionally associate. They see you playing around a board for 4 hours, building out your...
Gentes wasn't too bad in terms of that.
No, it's still on the longer side, though.
A little bit.
Than your traditional board game, I would say. But for people that love Gentes, this is the definitive version of... It's not a sequel, necessarily.
No.
But it is based on that same system. So this is a chance for new players to get what they're calling it the better version, so I'll call it a better version, I guess it's safe to say, of that game. And that game was already well loved when it originally launched as well.
Yeah, for sure. Those are the 4 games we're talking about, though, this week. If you have any other campaigns that you've heard of, I'd be surprised, first of all, because I think we looked through... I mean, there's some campaigns we haven't covered, of course, but when we went through all the ones that we thought we wanted to talk about here, these are the 4 that we found. I don't even know how soon after Gen Con there will be more, but probably soon. There's a window of time. A lot of publishers like to start wrapping things up by like September, October, November, and then we don't see many campaigns.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. There's definitely a few that we're going to be talking about that I'm very excited about that are just not launching yet. But we'll be back with those. We're not done for the year.
And
just for maybe the Gen Con month.
Yeah, speaking of one that's not launching quite yet, we're going to have our own campaign, which we will probably dedicate an entire episode, if not a part of every single episode. Please tune in, even if that doesn't sound appealing. Our MVM campaign, we're going to streamline things this year. We're going to make it, it's going to be something really exciting, special. We'll save the details until it's time to announce it. But if you have any questions about any of these campaigns, let us know in the comments below. We'll get down there and answer whatever we can. Until next time, make sure everyone has fun at the table, and we'll see you then.